Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Real Football Talk. I have David and Andy with me, where we'll be discussing football not coming home and England's disappointing loss to Italy. And congratulations to Italy for the fantastic win. And considering that they weren't there in the last World Cup, the impact they have made, and now European champion. David, I'll come straight to you. What's your thought, or what's your reaction to the game?
Well, we surrendered the initiative incredibly early on. I was sending Ardil text saying we've surrendered the initiative. We have to do something about it because we were going to lose. And it's exactly what happened, that we didn't display ambition. We sat back. We got tired out because we were chasing. Our big opportunity in this game was our physical fitness. We ground the Danes down, in my opinion, in the last game. We ran at them and they were exhausted by the end, and we let the same thing happen to us, and we've got the players to do better than that. So I was terribly disappointed, and I think it was a sort of a pessimistic outlook just to try and hang in there.
I think the goal probably came a bit too early for our likings. But Adil, what did you make of brilliant start to the game, and then obviously dominated first half, I would say.
It's two teams with complete different contrasts and philosophies in how they're trying to do things. On one hand, you got Italy, who play with a clear identity, who don't change their formation, who trust their players. Even took all their key players off, really. Other than Jorginho, like they took Chiesa off, they took
Verratti,
Immobile, Verratti. They weren't afraid. They weren't afraid of the occasion. They trust every player. They trust everyone to do their job, and it's a complete different mindset to England, which is adapt, change. Very negative mindset. It's all about the opposition, and with Italy, it's all about themselves. So yes, in a way, now that England have lost, I suppose a lot of people have criticized the fact that it was quite a negative performance. I thought I was excited when I saw the goal. Because then this was the first game where I didn't agree with the changes Southgate made. I actually felt the 4-2-3-1 formation was the better formation because it keeps the press and the pressure on Jorginho. But they went a different route. They went down the 5-2-3 formation, where effectively they're asking Kane to mark out Jorginho and drop deep. So then what happens is there's no pressure on the back four.
There's no pressure on the back four.
So then, so what that does is that allows all the playmakers to come. And you have to give credit to Mancini. When he went to the false nine system, that's when they totally started to overrun the game, because they played Insigne as a false nine, and suddenly the defenders had no one to pick up. So now you're asking stretching the midfield, and then that forced Mount and Sterling further back, and there was just no option. Even when Harry Maguire was going on runs, there was just no options for
at the beginning
to anyone.
You could see, the formation kind of working until Mancini obviously decided to change it, because that kind of front three kind of lined up to block the pass into Jorginho, Verratti, or Barella. So Italy weren't able to really play into them as much.
I didn't think it actually was working.
You didn't think
I didn't think it was working, because Italy, even though England took the lead and they had a couple of other promising moments, I still felt Italy was the only team playing to their game. They're the only team. They dominate the possession. They're getting the ball. They weren't creating chances, but they were still getting on the ball. And England, even in that first half, was struggling to get on the ball and play their game.
We did have 20 minutes where we were just completely on top. And then we surrendered well before the end of the first half, the initiative. And I think the instruction was sent out, hang on to it, because there was almost no attempt to do what we've done in other games, which is pass it around at the back and slowly build. It was panic-stricken long balls upfield. Kane actually playing all of his best stuff, and he did do some good stuff in the first half in midfield, not upfield. We didn't see him upfield at all the whole match. And I think it was a totally negative mindset, and it cost us. Because I think had we been less negative, had we been aiming to get the ball out speed to the wings to Sterling, then it would have been an entirely different kettle of fish. But we never stretched them. We didn't tire them. It was easy for the two central defenders. They could probably be playing that game in their mid-40s and not be exhausted.
Yeah.
But I mean, you could see the one or two times they were running a Bonucci or Chiellini. We did cause them problem, and you saw. Well, it was in the 90th minute. Chiellini got booked, but that's what we should have been doing more.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. That they brought on Grealish. I thought it was absolutely the right call. Grealish caused a little bit of danger when he got the ball, which wasn't frequently. They weren't very clever at getting the ball to Grealish, but they should have been bring on. I texted Ardil in the course of the match. They should have brought on Grealish far earlier, if only to relieve the pressure. He could hang on to the ball and bring other players into it, but there was nobody who could do that. It was absolutely nobody who could hang on to the ball.
Yeah, again, I mean, it's really that's the worrying thing about it is this is a cup final, and there's a big difference in the quality of the two teams.
Yeah,
especially in terms of retention of the ball. Yeah. It felt like Harry Maguire was the only player comfortable on the ball for England. Everyone else was just, as soon as they had a bit of pressure, they gave it away.
Getting rid. I think they were given the instruction to do it, though. I think they were told, defend the lead, keep what you've got, however you want to put it. It's nearly always a fatal tactic at this sort of level. Against a team like Italy, you can't hang in for that length of time. But they will score.
I mean, I think in other games, that's been the difference of having Saka play, because there's other games where you can see it's a similar outlook until the ball came to Saka, and Saka goes on a run, and then suddenly it changes the whole mindset of the rest of the team, and suddenly England were playing front foot. But the problem today was they had that they didn't have that player, and I think Southgate has to take full blame for this, as well as he's done to get England there. He showed the same weaknesses eventually that he showed in the last World Cup, which is there are certain players that he's just not willing to drop, and those players are on the pitch in attacking positions more for their work off the ball than it is what they do on the ball.
I'm going to ask
Harry Kane. Sterling's had a stellar tournament, so you can't say too much about that. But I can't understand how you're gonna suddenly players like Rashford and Sancho have become. You can't trust them so much. They can't even give them 5 minutes on the pitch. What kind of confidence are you giving the players when you're effectively waiting for 1.5 minutes before you bring them on?
But I think Sterling was started. You can see the guy. And for some reason, he wasn't bringing on Sancho or Rashford. I was like, what is going on?
And that's the worst thing is most of these cup finals are won by the team that presses, the team that is attacking. And England never pressed well the whole game. I didn't think they pressed well the whole game.
No,
Rice and Phillips, to their credit, put a shift in and won loads of tackles.
The Italians were pressing and pressing and pressing. They were camped in our half. There was no time on the ball. When Pickford threw the ball out to one of the defenders, there was an Italian straight there, and they didn't have the players around them to be able to play their way out. So they just booted it upfield, and it came straight back. It was naive, totally naive. And I agree with you about the choice of players completely. That I was actually much impressed by Sterling, having, as you know, not had the highest opinion of him. I thought overall he played well. I think he played well today, but not to play Saka, who had been devastating most of the previous games. Was, I thought, crass idiocy.
Yeah, and the thing is, this over, we spoke with one of the other pundits about who should be England's main man, but Southgate's made the decision that Mason Mount is the de facto main player of this England team.
I don't get it.
Attacking midfielder, and that's hard to take when you have players like Saka. If you look at even the whole tournament, you know, Saka, Grealish,
done nothing.
Have done much more than Mount, but still, there's this reluctance to. And the thing is, if you're playing a number 10 because of the work he does off the ball, which it's kind of a disservice to Mount, because when we see him play for Chelsea, he's a quality player as a 10, but we did not see that in the whole tournament him ever do anything creative.
No,
or even look to pick up the ball or take the pressure off. Like, what's the point of having an attacking midfielder when you're never there showing for the ball, and your only focus is pressing or dropping back and tracking runners? But I think England really lost the initiative by focusing the game so much on Jorginho. I mean, you know, the whole game, Harry Kane was just trying to stop the ball going into.
But Harry Kane, I know he scored several goals, but actually, overall, to my mind, his contribution has been pretty small. He's been a player who has been much of the time camped in midfield. He was very lucky that Luke Shaw in the various games has delivered some absolutely killer crosses, and it's given him the opportunity, obviously, and that is his role. I accept, but I think your talismanic player has to do more than just get on the end of a couple of crosses. He's got to be doing things that are transformatory for your chances, and he isn't. He doesn't.
I think the playing, at the end of the day, if they're going to play Harry, they're going to force Harry Kane to play like that. They should just play him in midfield or in the 10. When he did get it, he was one of the only few players to be able to turn the Italian defense and keep the ball. But the thing is, that's not. But then you have to question, why is Mount on the pitch?
I agree.
If you're relying on Kane to be that playmaker, which he was. I mean, the first goal and even another promising chance was all because Kane beat his man, turned it, and played the great ball in. But that is what you want from your number 10. So I wouldn't take. I still think he should have come off, because he was, like Sterling, so tired that he's putting no pressure. He's not marking Jorginho at the game because he's so tired, and he's not pressing the defenders. So, you know,
what is he doing?
And that's the thing. Southgate done this last time, where he's kind of playing for penalties again.
Yeah, I mean, why? I think, I mean, I know it's easy to kick a man whilst he's down, but if you actually look at what we've done this time, we've played a series of teams who actually haven't been up to very much at all, unlike Italy, who have beaten some exceedingly good sides. We get to the final. The first, we beat Germany, who are a moderately good side. I don't think Germany are a typical Germany. Largely, he's had an easy run. Italy haven't had an easy run. Italy looked to have all of the wherewithal, all of the knowledge, and we looked naive, and we looked fairly low on skill by comparison.
Italy had injuries to key players. Like, if you look at Spinazzola, was one of probably their best player at the time, alongside Jorginho when he got injured, and they've just got on with it. And I think that's where I think Southgate really lacked is, you've got some good, excellent players, talent, and you don't trust them, and you got so much loyalty to players who are shattered. And I can't understand that. I can't understand that players like Rashford and Sancho are only good enough for penalties.
But we had so much going for us in this tournament. It's not just even that. We had, if you look at throughout the whole tournament, I think we didn't have any real injuries or anything to deal with. Here and one or two niggles that players were out, but that's about it.
But I actually think the whole COVID situation with Mount actually saved England, because that they brought Saka into the team, and he was a breath of fresh air, and he was the reason. He's one of the reasons why England started to spark.
That was the reason.
So I just think, this was the first game anyway. I actually, because every other change Southgate's made, I fully agreed with it. So this was the first one where I actually felt that it's the wrong decision with the formation. But then when I saw the way they started, I thought, okay, if they're going to play in an attacking way, And we saw for the first goal, Trippier, Walker doing the overlap, and Shaw coming in on that side. I thought, okay, if they play it like that, then it will work. But then that, they only did it another couple of times, and they were both counter attacks, not in open play. So yeah, it's really
Do
negative.
you agree with me that ultimately their ball control, their skill levels are still well short of the Italians? You watch what the Italians did, what the Spanish did. The passing was altogether at a different level to ours, to my mind.
I think certainly in central midfield it is. I don't think it's as bad as it shows. I think a lot of it is down to the mindset because England ain't encouraged to play like that. So what's happened is there's no rotation of players. There's no players even showing half the time. I just get frustrated the amount of times Shaw tries to ping a ball to someone and no one's, even Harry Kane is not even looking for it. He's not even showing for it. So it's like he pings it and he goes straight to the defender to intercept, or the midfielder to intercept. I think it's like, there is definitely a deficiency in the midfield areas, but the rest around the midfield, everywhere else, the attacking positions, we're probably just as good as the Italians, but we don't play that style where we're looking to keep the ball and looking to play with risk and looking to express ourselves. It's still, the focus is always on stopping the opposition.
Yeah, it's too negative, far too negative.
But Adi, do you think we can kind of change the, obviously, having seen this tournament, etc., we got a player like Foden. We can play him in that number 10, someone that can turn on the ball and run it players, given that freedom and
yeah, but Southgate is just going to do what he done this time. During qualifiers, he's going to trust all the players. He's going to trust Rashford, Sancho, Foden. They're going to do really well, get England qualified, and then he's going to go back to the guys who work hard off the ball.
So who should we have as manager? Because I feel, having seen the Croatia game in the last World Cup and this one, in both of which we surrendered a wonderful advantage meekly, without like lambs. Who could and should be the manager? Because it ain't him.
But Dave, so you want Southgate gone?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know that's really harsh, but I think it is. We're not going to actually win a more difficult tournament, a tournament where the games aren't played at home, where we're not getting teams like the Czech Republic and the Ukraine and Denmark. I mean, Denmark are actually quite a decent team and probably underrated, but they're not world beaters. And, if we want to be world beaters, we've got to have somebody who energizes us, who takes advantage of the players who we now take the view are potentially world class and does so. Whether just sitting in defence is not going to get us there. We're not good enough at defending. Despite having a reputation for being good at defending, we're not good enough at defending because there is no outlet. We are just stuck there for 70 minutes, desperately hacking it clear, and eventually you concede.
Yeah, I mean, I would stick with Southgate for the World Cup just because of the fact that it's like just over a year away.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't change anything for now. But maybe after the World Cup, it's worth going with a manager who's looking to be a bit more of a protagonist, a bit more take the game to. I mean, when it comes to British or English, there ain't that many. I mean, I would put maybe Brendan Rodgers, who's, even though he's Northern Irish, he's potentially the best of the British managers. But I mean, he's not tried and tested. But I would give it to someone like Steve Cooper, who won the under-21 championships with England. Under-20 championships.
Under-20,
yeah. He won the under-20 championship with a lot of these players playing a flair brand of football. So
yeah,
and he's overachieved with Swansea for the last 2 years. So and if you look at Southgate, he's done well coming up from the under-21. So I don't think it's as essential managing a big Premiership club. So that would add some continuity, but there ain't really any big names jumping out. I mean, I'm sure the only other one who's doing British or English and got some success and proven himself is Steven Gerrard. But I can't see him wanting to go into international management so early in his managerial career.
Yeah.
So I just hope they don't go to Lampard. When you hear him as a pundit, you realize, he's the type of guy who just, Mason Mount's still going to be the number 10 of England, even though you have absolute, superstars.
He is so ordinary.
I think he's been. We haven't played to his strengths. We've just used him as a presser and a hard worker. I mean, he has more quality than that, but we're not playing football. We're not even looking to play passing.
What quality does he have? Because when he is in positions where he needs quickly to think about doing something to turn a situation from a potential opportunity into an opportunity, he always fails to do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, he's got away with a lot of subpar performances. He hasn't actually got on the ball hardly ever.
Why play him at all? I mean, Foden, the little bit I've seen of Foden, who does look to me a bit of a show pony, but he has the skill to do dramatic things. He equally has the tendency to drop out of games completely. So presumably you have to sort of build a team around him and as you say, give him utter freedom and make sure you get him the ball. But
that's the thing. If England aren't playing a passing brand of football, we're not going to see the best of players like Foden and them, because Grealish, the difference with Grealish is he doesn't stick to a position. He kind of follows the ball. So the ball will find him eventually, and you will see him get fouled and win free kicks, and you'll see his quality. But with Foden and the better players, they stick to their position because there are clubs where you can't get away with having a free roam because there's other quality players, so you can't just roam around going into other people's position. But with Grealish, because he's at Aston Villa, he can play that style, so we end up seeing him get on the ball one way or the other. But if you look at where he's playing everywhere.
Yeah, he is, but I'm not sure that's necessarily that bad. I mean, allowing a player of huge skill a free role gives you the opportunity to create things from nothing. He creates things for players. Even in the brief spell he was on, until he came on, we weren't looking like we would create anything at all. We just looked like we were going to be defending the whole rest of the game. He came on and he started making chances for us, and he held up the ball. A bit like Loire for Luton. If you're defending a lead, Loire would often enable us to hang on because he could hold the ball up so effectively because he was so much more skillful than everybody else. And Grealish is much the same. He would have been a great outlet if he'd come on at half time to give us the chance of keeping the ball in their half of the pitch.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I think it's a huge opportunity missed. I mean, you're playing at home. That's the frustrating thing about it is you're playing at home, and it felt like he didn't go for it.
No, he didn't go for it. That's why I'm so critical.
And you just think, like, are you ever going to have a better chance, a better opportunity? I mean, you're at home. You have to go for it at least.
You do. You absolutely do. I would have thought he'd learned his lesson after the Croatia game, where we did exactly the same thing. We were on top, we scored, and then we sat on it. The initiative was lost, and they beat us. And we did exactly.
It is exactly the same mistake as well, which is instead of being brave in your formation to tackle or match up with the Croatian midfield, you're asking your whole front line to drop back, and you're asking your striker to effectively be more concerned about, because even against Croatia, the same problem. They're more interested in making Kane pick up Modric.
Yeah, bonkers.
Instead of going with the formation with the 10 in there, like they have been, and letting Mount. If Mount is so good off the ball, let him pick up Jorginho today. Why do you have to go to a system where you have two in the midfield and you can't match up with Italy's three.
I'm telling you now, we haven't got a cat's hope in hell of winning the next World Cup with Southgate in charge, because he is not sufficiently.
But I still think he's better than what anyone has got there.
He's not going to win. He's not good enough. So you might as well gamble on somebody else. We've got the players. I don't think it would have been. I reckon Nathan Jones could have done a perfectly decent job with that group of players. I'm
sure Stoke fans will agree.
Yeah. Well, they might not agree, but they didn't really have a great group of players. They got a load of players who are very unhappy about things. When you've got what is obviously a coherent team, they're a team that does play for each other. You need somebody who gives them the impetus to show the expansive football that a lot of those players are capable of. I thought that Sterling was revelatory. Sterling caused mayhem in the opposition box over those various matches. Today, he's barely seeing the ball, and that's because nobody was getting it to him.
But knowing that, he was playing very narrow.
Yeah,
he wasn't playing out wide. So and again, that's the other thing. Like, they played a narrow three. They played a narrow front three again, just to stop the midfield.
Yeah.
Why not just match up with the midfield and go man for man? And the thing is, the two teams that actually did that are the two teams that dominated the game against Italy, which is Austria and Spain.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I'm quite convinced it's there to be beat. And
I think Southgate had a Pep moment. He overthought it.
But you know what is he has done really well in bringing this group up and bringing the togetherness back, etc. But I think it's there a stage where someone else needs to take over and take it to that next level.
I don't know. I think it's too soon, but I still think, unless there's someone better, and I still think the only reason why England got so far is only because of Southgate, because of the fact that he doesn't get carried away with the media hype and the pundit hype. He does the right thing for each match, but the Achilles heel was the bravery. As the occasion got bigger, his bravery and trust in those flair attacking players went down.
Yeah.
And that's something hopefully he can learn from. But that's two tournaments where he's choked on the big occasion, and again, it's two tournaments where he struggled with this formation. That's why I said straight away that this is the one team that I'm not confident with, because you can tell he hasn't figured out how to play against 4-3-3 with a deep line playmaker. He just hasn't figured out how to master a team that can dominate the midfield battle through possession. So everything else works. I'm not an advocate for this type of system where it's all about the system and not necessarily about your qualities, but it clearly does work. He just hasn't found the solution to beat a team that plays 4-3-3, and that's two tournaments where he hasn't done that. But if he does figure that out, this system clearly does work in international tournaments. That's a semi-final and a final. So I wouldn't be too quick to get rid of Southgate, and I still really like the fact that he's not English in the way he speaks, in the way he's not typically English. I think that makes a big difference, because he probably represents the squad better. Because
what do you mean by not typically English? Because
he doesn't get carried away with all the talk of the best in the world and that arrogance that everyone wants England to have as soon as they win. He keeps the team humble. He keeps them grounded. He keeps reminding the fans and everyone that we're not that great. And I think that's why this team has played without that pressure of pleasing the fans, is because he doesn't let the media control him. If you look at every other manager, even the successful ones like Ericsson and Capello, who had big credentials, eventually the British media and the British pundits get the better of him to the point where they don't make tough decisions.
Yeah.
At least with Southgate, he keeps control of, he's the boss and he makes the decision. You just hope he becomes a bit more brave, because at the end of the day, he's got players that are potentially some of the best in the world for the next few years if they continue to develop.
I mean, we know when Pickford saved that penalty from Jorginho, I got so excited. I was like, you know what, we're gonna do it.
Yeah, it felt like that was a turning point.
Exactly. That's why
Jorginho never misses it.
And I was like, you know what, this is it. We got this. And yeah.
And then Rashford steps up.
No, so it was Saka. Saka was the last one.
Oh no, oh yeah. Before that is Rashford. I was like, oh my.
Well, Rashford one was yeah.
Yeah, it was a horror penalty, wasn't it?
Like, I was thinking, why is he taking so long, man?
Why wasn't Grealish in there to take a penalty?
They obviously didn't think he was up to it, because they said he wouldn't be taking a penalty, didn't they? Even
I got a feeling he got dropped down the pecking order because of the studs that he got on his thigh from Jorginho. Which, Jorginho was lucky to get away with that.
That was dirty.
Because even though he was lucky he got his foot on the ball, because that's a stamp. And if he didn't get his foot on the ball, that'd have been a clear red.
Because I was surprised seeing Saka at fifth taking the penalty. I thought it would be someone like Grealish taking.
Yeah, but again, this is the thing, isn't it? He's put guys doing penalty practice without no pressure at training. He's put that as the number one factor. But everyone knows when it comes to match day, it's all about mindset.
Yeah. It's
all about mentality. You could be the worst penalty taker. It's one kick. If your mindset is right, you're gonna score. I mean, we saw it. Who was it in the Champions League final? There was some terrible penalty that they went through.
Yeah. Do you think taking Hendo off was a big call as well? Because I mean, he's a guy who's done it with Liverpool, etc. Leader. I mean, surely. I mean,
would have definitely had more confidence with leaders taking the penalties rather than young technical players who haven't. Because the thing is, if you look at Rashford, Sancho, and Saka, they've never played in the big moment, or they haven't been successful in big moments.
Yeah.
So to put that pressure on them suddenly. There's a different confidence when you've been there and done it.
Yeah,
you got a belief system there that you can do it. And certainly in terms of Rashford's case, I mean, Man United have choked so many times in semi-finals and finals. Sancho is young. I know he's won a cup and scored 2 goals in the final for Dortmund. So there's maybe a case. But the thing is, I agree with Shira. I mean, I think it's ridiculous that you're putting a player on for 1.5 minutes and then expecting him to take a pressure penalty. They haven't got a feel of the game. They haven't had touches of the ball. Their body ain't even warm. It's cold. And that's just ridiculous. I can't believe you got some of the most talented players. If you look at the squad, I mean, other than Belgium, England had the next best squad. If you compare Italy's squad and Italy's bench compared to England's, it was a huge difference. But
Chiesa surely is better than anybody we've got. He was unstoppable.
No, but that's because of the way Italy played. They played with. I think if we played our players, we would have seen. We would have seen Saka play in a similar way. We would have seen Grealish play in a similar way. But we didn't play those players, and we're not playing with that freedom.
Gets back to how I started this. Far too defensive a mindset, surrendering the initiative, and inevitably losing the game. You were saying about the Jorginho penalty. Didn't alter my belief. I was sitting there in utter gloom. We were doomed, and I felt like that from about 20 minutes before half time. And because I've seen it so often before that England surrender the initiative to teams. It was like that game, was it 2004 Portugal, We were leading, we sat on it, we lost. We've done it again and again and again.
I mean, what kind of summed it up for me was throughout the whole evening, it started off really high, the volume outside of my house, etc. And then as it was going up, it just went down, down, and down. And you could tell.
But if you look at any team that wins cup finals, those teams are the teams that press. They're pressing. They keeping the initiative. You know, they're playing a positive brand of football the whole way. You look at Chelsea winning the Champions League, same thing. You're looking at, you know, the FA Cup winners, Leicester. You know, they're taking the game.
I mean, massive credit to Italy, and I mean they thoroughly deserve to dominate this whole tournament.
Oh yeah.
They were the best team in the tournament in terms of the football they played, and like David alluded to, they beat Belgium and Spain, you know, along the way, and you know they had to go through penalties to do it.
And then England away at home, away as well, so which is massive as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Massive credit to them and congratulations to them and their fans. Yeah. We'll wrap it up here. Thank you for coming on today. A bit deflated, we can see, but yeah.
The least you can do is finish off with it's going to Rome after hearing you for a whole month. Hearing you say it's coming home for the whole month.
Just for you, it's going to Rome. There you go. Thank you guys for coming on. Thank you.